everybody. This is Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed podcast. Okay, we are back. We took a little hiatus. Because Jason got himself in trouble.
Life happened. Jason did.
Jason got himself in trouble. So now we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Back, fresh out the clink.
Fresh out the jail, yes. Get yourself locked up. Dude, eventually I gotta meet this girl. I don't care. No, actually I can't because you'll never be able to have contact with her from this point ever again.
Thank God.
No, trust me, they take that shit seriously. I got locked up for that. Look, there was a girl pressed battery charges against me, and it came to nothing, but they still put a no contact order against both of us, said, hey, even though the battery charges got dropped, you guys can't see each other, right? Because I never hit her. She hit her fucking self. She was a crazy bitch. Anyways, fast forward about a year and a half later, right? They still had the no contact order in place. She came over to this place right here to get her mail because she was getting mail here. The guy who used to own this building knew her and was letting her get her mail here. She came over to get her mail. I was at home. The cops got called for something random across the street. They saw her and me talking. Dude, they arrested both of us on spot.
Really?
Yeah, for violation of no contact order. I ended up doing 3 months because she was out here talking to me on the street, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, they said, you're in violation of no contact. Get your ass behind your back. I'm like, what the fuck? Didn't do nothing. Just stepped out of my house, bitch.
How did they know, though?
Well, they knew me. I mean, they knew who I was.
You had that rep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There was no qualms. The police used to know me well.
It happens, man.
They knew me real well. They knew her, too. Yeah.
That's what I was talking to my dad this morning when I got out, and we were laughing because that's the third county now, jail that I've been in. And
well, you're just taking a tour of the state, ain't you?
It was what was funny was like, It's funny now that I actually have comparisons.
Yeah.
I mean,
this one's better than this one.
It's one of those funny, not funny things, but it's fucking funny.
Oh, I mean, you know.
If you haven't spent fucking 8 hours in a goddamn drunk tank somewhere, then I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're not alive.
You're not having any fun.
You're not fucking alive. It sucks.
What'd you do in your 20s?
Don't get me wrong. It sucks.
I mean,
don't go to Madison. You don't want to get in trouble in Madison County. That's all I'm telling you.
Our ex-president's about ready to go himself spend a little time in the old clink in New York.
I blew a .09 in Madison County and spent 34 hours on a drunk tank floor with 16 other motherfuckers in this room.
.09, that's nothing.
Nothing.
That's barely over the limit.
Right. And here in Grant County...
That's a few beers.
Here in Grant County, apparently I fucking kicked the shit out of a bitch. And in 8 hours, I'm gone. And it was like luxury. It was just me and another dude.
You grabbed the monster can, you evil bastard, you.
Right.
Anyways, what we're talking about today is, if you guys already listened to episode 85, which I deleted, we're doing the same topic. So if you've listened to this already, I guess you can just go to the next one that's going to be posted eventually, whenever I get around to it. But this is going to be Ruby Rich. Now, have you heard anything about Ruby Rich, Jason? Do you know anything about it?
No, when you mentioned it the other day, it popped up on like a YouTube video.
I never
clicked it.
You haven't heard anything about? Oh my God! It's probably the biggest violation of civil rights that our government and FBI has ever done.
Really?
Yeah, it happened in '92, August of '92. There was this guy, now let me get everything. Randy Weaver was the man. And he had a farm over in Ruby Ridge, which Ruby Ridge is in Idaho. It's in Boundary County, Idaho.
Okay,
and
where's Idaho on the map here?
Idaho? Okay, it's west of us. A little north. It's where potatoes come from, over by Wisconsin and shit, up that way.
Is it west of Montana and Wyoming?
East of Montana and Wyoming.
Okay.
Between Wyoming, Montana, and Wisconsin, all that. It's
Gotcha.
right above like Nebraska and Iowa and shit.
Right.
Yeah, so it's between us and basically Wyoming and a little north. But This happened in Boulder County, and it's right below Canada, but it was out in the woods. It's a cabin out in the woods he had. And what happened with old Weaver was, he was a former U.S. Army engineer. He moved with his family in 1983 to a cabin he built in Ruby Ridge, about 40 miles from the Canadian border. He often stayed with his family in the cabin for extended period of time. Now, see, what happened was he attended meetings with a white supremacist group for the Aryan Nations in its compound in Hayden, Idaho in the 80s. He wasn't a member, but he kind of shared the white supremacist viewpoints, and he befriended an informant for the ATF.
White supremacists, we're talking about Ku Klux Klan.
And Nazis, Ku Klux Klan, people.
Okay.
But he wasn't a member of the group, but he befriended. What happened was he went to a few of these meetings, and then they had an agent in the white supremacist group for the ATF.
Okay.
And the agent and Weaver became friends. And he purchased 2 illegal...
Like an undercover agent.
Yeah, an undercover agent. And the agent...
So this dude's posing as a white supremacist, but isn't, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, the ATF agent was posing as a white supremacist. Weaver was just a guy...
Kind of like the Dave Chappelle skit.
Yeah.
What is it? Clarence Bigsby?
Clarence Bigsby, the white supremacist, blind white supremacist. Yeah.
Dude, that shit's funny, bro. That's one of the funniest Chappelle skits of all time.
Well, that reminds me of that. That reminds me of that movie, "See No Evil, Hear No Evil," with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
And he's on the subway. And his sister goes, "You're black." He goes, "I'm black. Why didn't you ever tell me?" Oh my God, does Dad know? And Richard Pryor's like, he starts filling his ears and face. He goes, "Oh my God, I am black."
Oh, that's great.
Oh, funny. But anyway, so Randy Weaver befriended this ATF agent, and the ATF agent, through the contacts with Weaver, he purchased 2 illegal sawed-off shotguns, which they were illegal because they were sawed off. Weaver had altered the guns.
What does sawed off mean?
It means they saw off the barrel to make them shorter, so you can use them kind of like a handgun.
Easier to use.
Well, easier to conceal.
Okay.
Like if you were trying to conceal a shotgun, it's kind of hard
so
because...
Does the sawing it off change the way the bullet comes out?
I don't think so.
Right.
I don't know, but I don't believe so, no. But what it does is it makes it easier to conceal. It's smaller. It's illegal either way.
Okay.
You're not allowed to saw off the barrel of a shotgun. So he purchased them in 89. And they tried to flip Weaver at this point.
Weaver purchased them?
No, Weaver sold them.
Gotcha.
Weaver's the one that had sawed them off. And he sold them to the ATF agent. So they tried to flip him so that he would become an informant for the ATF. And when he refused, they pursued weapons charges against him. So he was arrested and released with a trial set for February of 91. The trial was then moved to February of 20, but a probation officer sent a letter to Weaver incorrectly stating that the new trial date was March 20th. So, let's start with this. Weaver had a trial date. He went to the initial trial date, okay? Then they said so he went to his arraignment, and then his trial was set for February 19th of 91. But they had scheduling conflicts, so they moved it to the 20th, right? And then the probation officer who was over the trial sent Weaver something saying it was March, so he didn't know he was supposed to be there on February 20th. He thought he was supposed to be on March.
You don't show up. There's
right. So he failed to appear, and they issued a bench warrant. And he was indicted for failing to appear. Now, normally, when you fail to appear, the cop or a couple cops will show up at your house, knock on your door, have an arrest warrant, take you to jail, say, hey, you failed to appear for trial, They take you to jail, you go to trial, that's it, said and done. So...
Well, if you're dumb enough to be at home.
Right. But when he failed to appear, they asked the U.S. Marshal Service to arrest him.
Damn, they took the marshals after that?
Well, it's a federal.
Okay.
So, anytime it's federal, the U.S. Marshals come.
Tommy Lee Jones coming after that ass.
Right. Yeah, something like that.
Dr. Richard Kimball.
Richard Kimball.
It was a great movie.
Oh, we're going to get you.
It's a great movie. I didn't shoot my wife. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care if you shot your wife. Tommy Lee Jones looks up and says, I don't care.
I don't care.
Doesn't matter to me if you shot her or not. We're still taking you to prison, motherfucker. So, the U.S. Marshals was tasked with arresting him. Now, without really knowing Weaver, and without actually going up to his house, they assessed from the beginning that he was likely to resist violently if confronted directly. So...
Oh, well, naturally, of course.
Of course, yes. Because this guy...
As a cop, that's what you have to assume about everyone.
Well, I mean, this guy with no history of violence...
They don't just put their foot on throats of people and suffocate them to death for nothing.
Oh, just wait. This gets a lot better, Jason. You'll enjoy this here in a moment. You think this violates his rights? Just wait. Okay, so they originally, without a guy with no history of violence whatsoever, who is on a failure to appear charge, mind you.
The charge he was coerced into.
Coerced into, right. They assess he's going to be violent, and he's obviously going to resist. I mean, he's a U.S. Army. So immediately, we know he's going to resist.
He sells sawed-off shotguns.
Right. And that immediately
and he doesn't appear in court.
Right. So that immediately means,
because you're innocent until proven guilty, Brian.
Yeah. So they planned for a stealth operation. And when I say a stealth operation, this is what they decided to do. On August 22nd, 1992, they decided to send the Marines, the Navy SEALs, onto Weaver's property in full combat gear with snipers to sneak through the woods onto this man's private property to arrest him for a failure to appear warrant without ever announcing themselves in any way, shape, or form. So, they've got a full Marine crew of stealth operatives crawling through the grass in the woods.
Right.
At night, right before sunset, on this man's property in full tactical gear with M16 firearms.
Right.
Sounds perfectly logical to me that's what you do on a failure to appear.
Right.
I mean, don't come up with U.S. Marshal agents.
Don't send a squad car out to knock on the front door.
No. Don't send the U.S. Marshals out to start with. See if the guy resists. Maybe warrant in hand. No. Let's call the Marines. Let's call the Marines and the Navy SEALs to crawl through the grass at night.
So that means there's got to be something more interesting about this guy.
No, actually.
Really?
No. Doesn't get any more interesting than what I told you. So, a surveillance team of 6 heavily armed U.S. Marshals, including the Marines and Navy SEALs, were inside the inside the Ruby Ridge property. Now, Weaver's son, Deegan, who I think was 12 at the time, was out on the property with his dog, walking his dog at the time near the edge of the property, late at night, while they were crawling up through the woods. Deegan comes upon one of the federal marshals in full combat gear with his M16, stealthily crawling through the woods. Now, Deegan, being a young kid, being the fact that they were out in the wilderness near the Canadian border, was taught to use firearms and logically had a gun with him on the property because, again, wild animals. You know, you want your son to be equipped to handle if he runs into, say, I don't know, a bear or a wolf or something of that nature out in the woods.
Crawling Navy SEAL.
So, Deegan shot the U.S. Marshal in the back because he saw him with a gun in the woods.
Wow.
Shot him. The dog goes crazy. So, of course, Harris, who was the marshal, his initial reaction at this was, instead of announcing himself or, again, telling the child who he was, decides to open fire on the dog and the child, killing them both.
Ooh. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So he kills his 12-year-old son.
Wow.
Kills the dog.
Wow.
And then runs off into the woods. Okay, this is the start of this crazy.
Wow.
So after the shooting, the federal marshals requested assistance from the FBI, which then dispatched its hostage rescue team to Ruby Ridge. On August 22nd, Lonnie Harichi, an FBI sniper hiding about 200 yards from the cabin at Ruby Ridge, opened fire where he believed Weaver and Harris were preparing to shoot an FBI helicopter. The first shot hit Randy Weaver in the arm. Hirochi then fired a second shot meant for Harris as the men ran back into the cabin.
Who's Harris?
Okay, this is the thing. They were having a dinner party at the time. Side note, this is where it gets a little more complicated. Randy Weaver and his wife and their kids were having a couple friends over for the weekend. They were having a little party, drinking. Everybody was getting ready, to settle down for the night. Now, Deegan, the son, was out there in the woods, got shot by this one guy. He's dead. So Harris runs out there while the other guy runs off in the woods, drags the kid back to the shed. Okay? Puts the kid in the shed, goes inside. They don't know what's going on. All they know at this point is that there's people out there shooting at them. That the kid was killed. Now they see a bunch of guys out there in full combat gear with guns.
Right.
Okay? So they dispatch the hostage rescue team, tell them to come out. Now at this point, they're scared for their lives. They already killed the kid. They've got guys with M16s pointing at their house. They don't know, again, what's going on. So they're barricading themselves in the house to protect themselves.
Right.
So what happened was Randy Weaver, the father, and Harris, Randy, they said by all accounts, was despondent, crazy. I want to see my son's body. I got to see him. Where is he? So they took him out to the shed, to see his son. Now, at this point, no one had a gun. But this Hirochi guy said,
Sniper.
"Oh, I thought
Yeah.
they were going to shoot at a helicopter." With handguns, mind you, because God knows you can shoot the fucking helicopter in the air and just take it out with the handguns and the sawed-offs that you got. Billy Bob and them are just taking out helicopters left and right.
John McClane did and died with a vengeance.
Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, let's stick to reality, shall we?
Well, I mean,
first of all, this is Randy Weaver, not John McClane.
We've seen it's been done, Brian. I'm not saying it's a great possibility at all.
So they go out to the shed to look at his son's body. While they're out there, this sniper, this Hirochi,
fire, right?
Yeah, he shoots Weaver
in the arm.
So Harris, again, shots fired, starts running back to the cabin. When he gets to the cabin door, Weaver's wife, while holding their 22-month-old son, opens the door. Hirochi goes to shoot Harris, shoots through him, and kills Weaver's wife.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Great shot. Another unarmed
Great
civilian.
job, Hiroshi. 2 birds with 1 stone, buddy.
Unarmed civilian with a 22-month-old child in her
I was
hand.
going to say, only if you could have got the 22-month-old child,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. If only.
Hat trick.
Yeah. He'd got all 3 at once.
Right. Jesus Christ. Man.
They'd have gave him a medal for that one.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the bullet struck Vicky Weaver in the face while she held her infant daughter.
Fucking failure to appear has now cost the man his 12-year-old son, his wife, and his dog.
Yeah, so far.
Good. That's good police work.
So the bullet struck Vicky Weaver in the face.
Oh, God, man.
While she held her infant daughter behind the front door of the cabin and injured Harris. Vicky Weaver. Vicky Weaver died soon after, but her body remained in the cabin for 11 days while this whole standoff went on.
Wow.
So, for a week, they stay held up in this cabin. Finally, the hostage negotiators get Harrison Weaver to surrender. Now, they were charged with a host of crimes, including murder, conspiracy, and assault, and obstruction. Idaho jury acquitted Harris of all charges. Weaver was finally convicted of failing to appear.
So I don't understand why there's
and then they dropped the original.
Why is there a multiple day standoff?
Hold on.
Wouldn't the hostage negotiators lead with, "We just need you to come out, sir. You failed to appear. Sorry, your son, dog, and wife are dead, but you don't really need to be held up in there with her dead body for 11 days."
Yeah, no. They were... Okay, this is the thing. Before 11 days went by, at first, the director of the FBI gave the order to all U.S. snipers that if they see anybody come out of the house, armed or unarmed, shoot to kill.
Really?
Shoot to kill. That was the order given. Shoot to kill. Assume they are hostile, whether they're killed or not. Now, after Vicky Weaver was killed, they found out she was holding a child. The order changed real quick to, look, maybe we should not shoot to kill guys. Maybe, unless they're hostile to you.
Right.
Maybe.
When I said shoot to kill, I thought that naturally meant to leave women and children out. Especially if you're going to shoot them in the fucking face.
Yeah. I was hoping you guys would use some sense, but
that's on me. That's on me.
My bad.
We're just going to shoot to kill.
If they have a weapon now. Yeah.
Innocent men.
Yeah.
Let's try to leave that.
So, he got convicted of the failure to appear, Weaver, and ended up dropping the original charge to begin with. So, the illegal firearms charge, he found not guilty on that.
Yeah, of course.
He got convicted of the failure to appear. So all of this loss of life and everything else was over a failure to appear in court. And he did nothing else illegal. And they sent the military out to his private property and killed his wife, kid, and dog.
I don't know, man.
For no reason whatsoever, just because he didn't go to court.
Right. I don't know. It seems like there had to be an ulterior motive. There's some kind of, you know what I mean? Like maybe during the befriending of Randy Weaver at these white supremacist group, and this ATF undercover agent buys these sawed-off shotguns. Maybe during the befriending process, I don't know, this ATF agent let slip vital information that he shouldn't have let slip maybe to Randy Weaver. They were having a couple of drinks one night. He tells him something he shouldn't have told him. Got to get rid of him. But even at that, he failed miserably because he killed his whole family. But left Randy alive.
Yeah.
So that doesn't even make sense.
Well, an inquiry by the Justice Department after this criticized the FBI for failing to gather sufficient intelligence, and they did not order the residents of the cabin to surrender or told them why they were there before they engaged in a firefight. So they didn't even ask them to surrender.
That's crazy.
Never told them why they were there. Just started opening fire on these people.
That's what I'm saying.
For no fucking reason.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
Now, Hirochi, they said the second shot was unconstitutional because at that point, Harrison Weaver were running for governor, were not threats at all.
Right.
They also said that Hirochi endangered other people in the cabin unnecessarily. Although the U.S. Attorney General decided not to charge Hiroshi.
See, he should be charged with murder.
Yeah, but prosecutors in Boulder County did charge him with manslaughter, but the case was taken to a federal district court because he was acting in a federal capacity. They couldn't prosecute him on the state level. Basically it was basically taken away. Right. Because they said he was acting under orders from the U.S. Marshals, so therefore they couldn't charge him.
Right.
Now, in 95, they did settle, with Randy Weaver for, $2 million. They gave him $2 million in 95 for shooting his whole entire family for him and his remaining 3 daughters that were left alive.
I guess it's a start.
I mean, that's the least you can do when you violate his constitutional rights.
Can you put a price tag on your family? I don't know.
That's $1 million. That's $1 million for each person.
Jesus.
I mean, you violate the man's constitutional rights. You go on his private property for nothing more than a failure to appear warrant.
Yeah, I don't understand how. Yeah.
Harris did nothing.
How is
nothing?
Everybody.
His wife did nothing.
How is everybody involved in the judicial system in this scenario should all be fired?
Yeah. But why? Why? This is the first time that's happened in this country? Come on, man.
Damn. Wow.
And not only that, the charges are dismissed.
Right. They didn't have nothing.
They didn't even charge him with it. He didn't even get convicted of the original charge. He never even got convicted of what they had him on to begin with.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
Right. So you kill this dude's wife, his son, and almost kill his 22-month-old daughter. And you had no reason to go on his property to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said.
I mean, to say that's excessive is beyond me. But it shows me
what happened to the old-fashioned knock on the front door. But
because, as I've told many people, I used to tell Michael Lee this all the time at work. He was like, "Oh, if the government comes to get my guns, we'll do a standoff." I said, "Michael, if the government comes to get your guns and you shoot at anybody, they'll kill you and your entire family, dog."
Yeah, and then they'll take your guns, right?
Yeah. Do you think for a second you have rights in this country? You're lying to yourself. You have rights because they allow you to. Anytime they want, they'll take away those rights, and you can't do a damn thing about it.
Nope.
And he goes, "Well, the military would never do." No, the military would never do that. That's why they did that at Ruby Ridge.
Right.
Those were Marines that were up there in the trees killing innocent Americans that did nothing wrong because they were ordered to.
Yeah, they're order followers.
Right.
Right. The military, the police force, that's all they just are following orders.
Right.
But that doesn't make it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That does not make what they're doing legitimately right or legitimately moral.
I mean, look at
just
Waco.
Because their job is to follow orders.
Look at what they did at Waco to David Koresh.
Right.
Did they really have any reason whatsoever to go into Waco and to kill all those people? Of course not. For all intents and purposes, David Koresh and his followers did nothing illegal.
Right.
They just refused to give up the guns that they legally purchased, that they were legally keeping on their own private property.
Right.
I mean, You give me an illegal scenario where anything they did was illegal, and you had a right to go in there and kill them.
I mean, well, I just like I said, if you're the police or you're the military, you're literally following orders. Well, who is more to blame? Who is more immoral? The guys that give the orders, or the guys that act out the orders? Right? I mean, I can give you an immoral, order. Brian, go next door and kill their fucking dog. But you have the choice to follow out that order or not. You know what I'm saying? So what blame do what accountability, what responsibility lies in my hands? I just told you to do it.
Well, according to the law, responsibility lies in both hands.
Right.
Because if you even know about a crime that's happened and you don't tell the police about it, you can go to jail and be charged with the exact same crime. Mm-hmm. There was a guy put to death over that. Him and another guy were selling drugs to undercover cops. The cops came there to kill them because they wanted more hush money for not telling on them. And the one guy shot the cops, killed them both. The other guy ran away, but he didn't tell the cops about the crime. They put the one guy in prison for life. They killed the cops. The guy who ran away, they gave him the death penalty.
Really?
And murdered him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So they both charged him with first-degree murder, even though the one guy had nothing to do with the murder whatsoever.
I mean, yeah. Well, at the end of the day, it's this business, man. It is business.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
It's just business.
You're damn right. To quote The Godfather, it's just business. Ain't personal, just business.
It's business, baby.
Well, everybody, that was episode 85. Hope you enjoyed it. That was Ruby Ridge.
Definitely interesting.
I liked it. And we have decided on our new format that we're going to try to keep these next few episodes at about 30 minutes. So if it is a long one, if we're doing like a severe in-depth on something, and we might have 2 or 3 episodes on the same subject, but we figured out that you guys don't really like the hour because it takes too long and you guys have to listen to it for a long time, and then you guys are pausing it and getting back to it and maybe getting back to it. That way, if we cut them up, it's just easier for our listeners to listen. Yeah.
Logical.
Well, they can listen to it in one short setting. And if they want to listen to the whole thing back to back, they can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.
Later.